Hello all. So welcome to our YouTube channel. So today I have with me our special guest, Mr. Prince Bhalla. Prince, welcome you to this YouTube session, and
Thank you, sir.
I welcome you to this session on the behalf of our EduTap team. And बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं आपको इस EO एग्जामिनेशन में सेलेक्ट होने के लिए.
Thank you, sir.
So I hope you are little relieved now.
Yes, sir.
So has the feeling sinked in you?
Yes, sir. Like after so much of hard work, when you get your results, obviously it feels nice and
Great, great.
big
Uh,
with it.
Prince, can you tell us a little bit about your educational background and your professional background?
Sir, I did my BTech in engineering physics from IIT Delhi. I passed out in 2016. Then I joined a software job where I worked for 4 months.
Prince, sorry for the little interruption. I think we are back now.
Yes.
So can you continue again?
Yeah. So I did my BTech from IIT Delhi in engineering physics. I passed out in 2016. Then I joined a software job where I worked for 4 months.
Okay.
After that, I started preparing for UPSC. I prepared for around 2 years and then I joined General Insurance Corporation in 2018. I worked there for a year and then I joined National Housing Bank in 2019. I resigned in 2020 and I again started preparing for UPSC. And finally, in 2021, I got selected in the Intelligence Bureau exam as an ACIO Grade 2 officer. And then now I have been selected in EPFO as an enforcement or accounts officer.
So Prince, how did you come to know about the EPFO EO examination?
I came to know from the notification in the newspaper, which from the employment news in which they give.
ग्रेट ग्रेट सो प्रिंस एक बात पूछना चाहूंगा क्योंकि बहुत लंबा प्रोसेस था ये जनवरी में नोटिफिकेशन आई सितंबर में एग्जामिनेशन हुआ
Yes, sir.
देन जुलाई में इंटरव्यू तो थ्रू आउट द प्रिपरेशन आपने कैसे मैनेज किया मोटिवेट किया खुद को
Actually, sir, from the beginning, like as I already told, I was preparing for the civil services exam, and most of the syllabus you can see, more than 50% of the syllabus overlapped with that.
राइट राइट
So while preparing for that, I did not feel that as if I'm preparing solely for this examination. So the main motivation behind the preparation was obviously civil services.
ओके
So in that process, that is there that that syllabus of this exam was a bit different from UPSC in that we had industrial relations also and social security and
राइट
accounts and all. So, but I joined EduTap this your course for EduTap course for the written examination. So I went along with the classes as they were going, and then based on that only, I maintained both the things side by side.
great prince you were also working at that time so what according to you is a study plan for a working professional for this type of examination
Sir, I would say that when you are working somewhere, especially if you're working in a government organization, and depending upon the workload that you have in the organization, so I think that it's not that difficult, especially if you're in a government organization, to at least study 3 or more at max 4 hours a day. It's not difficult. Like like my office used to get over at 6 o'clock in the evening. So when I used to return by 7 to 9, I used to study. Two
okay
hours I used to study in the evening. Then after having dinner, I used to study from 10 to 12.
so
Like that. And so weekends, so you have obviously got preparation. You are completely free on the weekends.
So, Prince, after getting such a coveted job already, how did you motivate yourself for the UPSC EO examination? It is very difficult क्योंकि NHB में जॉब किया, then बहुत सारी जॉब्स मिली, बहुत डिफरेंट डिफरेंट अच्छी क्वालिटीज की भी, तो उसके बाद भी मतलब आपको ऐसा नहीं लगा कि बस ये एंड है और नहीं कैसे मोटिवेशन आई बार बार आगे बढ़ने की
Motivation, as I already said, sir, like if you are preparing for civil services, so you obviously, till you reach that point, you have to keep motivating yourself, like today also, even if I am an EO in EPFO, still, right, I am writing mains this year for the civil services examination also. So, matlab, motivation to has to be continuous because if you are planned one thing, if you have set your goal in your mind, and until and unless that is achieved, you ought to work hard for till you are there.
बिल्कुल सही, बिल्कुल सही। और एक और बात प्रिंस, क्योंकि एग्जामिनेशन बहुत रेगुलर एग्जामिनेशन नहीं है, लास्ट टाइम 2017 में हुआ,
Yes.
देन 3 साल बाद हो रहा है, तो किस तरीके से इसकी स्ट्रेटेजी आपने प्लान करी? क्योंकि एक रेगुलर एग्जाम में तो हमें आइडिया लगता रहता है कि किस तरीके से चेंजिंग पैटर्न है, क्या टाइप ऑफ क्वेश्चन आ रहे हैं, लेकिन इन एग्जामिनेशन काफी डिफिकल्ट होता है इसको मैनेज करना, तो आपने कैसे फिर इसको प्लान किया?
Sir, as I already said, I did not plan it myself. Like more than 50% of the syllabus to overlap with the civil services, and then when I joined your EduTap course, so I studied only that, which was being uploaded by your channel, and so I restricted my resources to very limited ones. So at the end also, during the time of revision also, like I only followed the short quizzes that that used to come with the course. So I think that helped me a lot, to limit my resources and also to revise at the last moment.
So your sources of preparation were of EduTap, was only EduTap course?
Yes, sir.
ग्रेट। प्रिंस, एक बात मैं पूछना चाहूंगा, क्योंकि आप एक यूपीएससी बैकग्राउंड के एस्पिरेंट थे, तो एक यूपीएससी बैकग्राउंड के एस्पिरेंट के लिए ईओ एग्जामिनेशन को टारगेट करना, मतलब किस स्ट्रेटेजी से टारगेट करना चाहिए? बिकॉज देयर आर सम यूनिक कंपोनेंट्स, देयर आर सम नॉन यूनिक कंपोनेंट्स, तो किस तरीके से हमें प्लान करना चाहिए ईओ एग्जामिनेशन या फिर सिमिलर एग्जामिनेशंस को?
Sir, I feel that you should divide the time between your UPSC, the civil services preparation, and this. I think you can give around, 1.5 hours per day I used to give for this EO examination, like studying the parts which were not there in the syllabus of my civil services examination. Okay. So if you are regular with that, and especially, UPSC also gave a lot of time by shifting the examinations multiple times. I think it got shifted for 3 times, like
right.
Because of COVID-19. So this year was this recruitment was a unique in that sense that aspirants had a lot of time, from the day the notification came and exam happened, I think after 2 years, almost 1.5 or 2 years. So that if you are regular with your preparation, so that helps you to manage both the things at the same time.
Great. Prince, one more thing. What are your standard sources for for some UPSC subjects like Indian history, polity? For that, you also followed the EduTap course, or you were following some other?
Actually, I joined Vajiram and Ravi in 2016. So I have been following that only for my civil services preparation. Their class notes I find more than sufficient. So that's the same I read for the EPFO exam also.
Okay. For current affairs also?
Yes, current affairs, but I used to the nature of current affairs is different in this exam. And in banking exams also. And that civil services exam pattern is different. So for that, I used to follow this EduTap monthly magazine also, apart from my regular magazine of civil services.
And what about general science?
General science, the static syllabus was there. So for static areas, I at the end, due to the shortage of time, or so that the preparation doesn't overlap. So I basically at the end I followed the short quizzes that were being uploaded by EduTap on their portal on the course. Okay,
Prince, one more thing. Since accountancy and auditing is totally new to you,
yes.
So how you plan your study for that subject? Because it is quite difficult for a student to manage a totally new subject.
Yes, sir. Sir, actually, I prepared for SEBI exam also last year.
Okay.
Yeah. So most of the things especially the numerical part and all, that I was already prepared with because of my SEBI preparation, and like the different sort of the I can say EPFO has a different pattern of asking, different pattern of questions altogether compared to SEBI. So for that, I followed this the static areas of this accounting or the theoretical part, which the PDFs which EduTap uploaded on that.
Okay, great. Prince, what according to you is the strongest area या scoring area in the recruitment test? मतलब कौन सा एरिया आपको लगता है कि काफी स्कोरिंग है जिसको बच्चा टारगेट कर सकता है?
I think this general polity and history.
Okay.
These are the most scoring areas.
Great.
According to me, because these are mostly static, In civil services also.
फिक्स बुक है, अच्छा सोर्स है, उसी को फॉलो करते रहो तो
अच्छा सोर्स है. हाँ, तो वही for polity you have to follow Lakshmikant, no other sources there. And for history you have to refer the spectrum, no other source, nothing apart from that is required. Okay, great. Prince, क्या आप notes बनाते थे? Notes are actually short notes I used to make, and for revision at the last moment. So the things my short notes which I had made for civil services in 2016-17, I referred for the static areas, I referred that only, and current affairs, so as I told, the short quizzes and all that were there.
Great. Prince, एक और क्वेश्चन पूछना चाहूंगा कि what according to you is the role of mock test in the preparation?
Mock tests, they are very helpful in preparation, and especially, you should not restrict yourself to the mock test from one institute. At least you have to do the mock test from 2 institutes so that you get a better idea of the variety of questions and also the time management, that is required to tackle the real exam. Because real exam will be totally different. Especially UPSC examination, they have a surprise element.
Right.
For every element, for every exam, they conduct, whether it is civil services or CAPF or EPFO, whatsoever. So, but mock test, I feel that you should not start attempting at the beginning of the preparation itself. Once you have at least, your half your preparation, you can start with the sectional tests so that you get a confidence also.
Right.
Otherwise, the preparation gets monotonous.
Great.
So, in my opinion, that during the last of the at the end of the examination before 15 days, you should follow only the mock test and the explanations that are
given. Right. Prince, one more thing, it is very difficult when you are preparing for such a long time to manage your revision. Because you are in between कि नया पढ़ूं या फिर पुराना रिवाइज करूं, किस तरीके से बैलेंस आउट करूं, तो इसके लिए क्या स्ट्रेटेजी रही है आपकी?
सर, इसके लिए as I said, मतलब you should take some good test series and you should prepare in a piecemeal approach. Like you have sectional test in the beginning for whichever exam you are taking some test series. So you should divide your labor and time in that manner so that whenever this sectional tests are happening, whatever topic it is being covered, so you have to finish that all together so that you are not required to read that portion again. You should finish with making short notes and so that at the end of the day, when your full syllabus test happens, you are having limited resources to revise.
Great. Prince, what according to you is the most difficult area of preparation for a UPSC aspirant in the EPFO type examination?
The most difficult area I think which I found new to myself was accounting and auditing only. Okay. Because you will see that industrial relations and your social security, these are mostly theoretical areas.
Right. And accounting, somehow overlap with the UPSC preparation somehow.
And more importantly, these are theoretical, like they are factual. Majorly they are factual, that you have to you have to read the same acts that have been there, like Industrial Disputes Act, etc. But in accounting you have to understand, and then you have to make yourself capable of solving numericals. So understanding is required in that, and you should follow a good source for that part.
Okay. So you followed EduTap for that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now come to interview part. How was your interview, Prince?
Interview was, sir, in my opinion, it was good, but rest, when the marks will be out, then only you can say anything, because UPSC interview is very uncertain.
So is your interview panel cordial?
Interview panel?
अच्छा था, मतलब cordial था?
Yes, yeah, UPSC interview panels are cordial only, but at the end of the day, when you get marks, you get to know.
So how many members were there in the panel?
4 members were there, sir.
And what type of questions were asked to you?
Sir, majorly, when I told them that, recently I have been selected for this intelligence bureau post. So majorly, for questions were from internal security. It's obvious because, whichever latest job you have done, they will not ask you questions based on what you have done 3-4 years ago.
Right.
So this was the latest in my case, that, recently I had I was waiting for my joining. So they asked me questions related to external security also, like related to, the security laws and, agencies that are involved. And more importantly, they asked me from my optional area, my graduation area also, which is engineering physics.
Okay.
So questions from, modern physics, like, particle physics, they were asked, the recent research that has happened. So basically they were checking that whether you are updated with your subject or not.
Right.
And then a question from my hobbies were asked, and the general administrative kind of questions, like, like which about EPFO Act also, EPF Act also, they asked that, how does EPFO enforce that act and all. So as to check that, and some general questions of polity, like how many types of funds are there in the constitutional, and from economics, like, why role of public sector was envisaged in 1950s and why it is diminishing now.
Okay.
These kind of questions were there.
So, Prince, can you let us know what are the key areas of interview preparation for an aspirant? जब आप prepare करते हो तो कौन-कौन से key areas हम identify करते हैं?
Key areas, sir, I think that you should be very much prepared with what you are doing currently if you are working, because that will form, I think, more than 50% part of your interview, because because the purpose of interview is to check whether you are conversant with what you are doing or not.
Right, right.
Not with your graduation subject which you have finished might be 3-4 years back. So, but yes, from graduation subject also questions are raised, like 20%. In my case, it was 20% questions were from my graduation subject. And hobbies also, people sometimes, that aspirants neglect hobbies. They like, suppose they mention some hobby of, some sports like chess or cricket. Sometimes, they will write reading novels, but they don't know, like, which, then they will ask which novels do you read and all. Then they have no answer for that.
स्पेसिफिक नहीं होती है ना वो शायद
Specific नहीं होता, तो मतलब you should be prepared on that area. कि वैसे like, मतलब when they ask us to fill the detailed application form, whatever you are filling in that should not be, some false kind of that should not give some false impression to them that it has been
वेग
just
और
given.
एम्बिगुअस नहीं होना चाहिए वो ना शायद.
Yes, that it should not feel that, they should not feel that this you have just filled it to make your DAF look more attractive or something.
Right.
You should write only with what you are, solid, which you have solid understanding with.
Right. Prince, is it okay to say no in the interview?
No?
In the interview, क्योंकि बहुत सारे बच्चे क्वेश्चन पूछते हैं कि सर अगर हमें जवाब नहीं आता तो हमें नो बोलना चाहिए नहीं बोलना चाहिए.
Obviously, sir, if you don't remember, if you don't know the answer to some questions, like I'll give my example in my National Housing Bank interview. I think in 80% of the questions I was not knowing because they were from core finance section.
Okay.
And still I got the highest marks in the interview.
Okay.
So it's okay to say no rather than, making up the answer or, trying to guess the answer, because that gives a negative impression and that you lose marks because of that.
Prince, one more question. What according to you they are specifically looking for in a candidate?
I think so they are majorly looking for your confidence. And sometimes what I have felt from my experience after giving 4-5 interviews, that sometimes they throw some questions at you which they have the intention that you should not answer.
Right.
So that then they check that if you get panic inside the interview, that clearly shows it on your face.
Right.
So they are basically checking that. So one should be cool, and even if you don't know the answer, so it's not that you will not know all the answers. Even if you are answering 30-40% of the interview, it's perfectly fine. As far as it's beyond your knowledge area or something which you have not read at all. Like in physics this happens. Like in particle physics, it's a wide area. So sometimes we don't know what kind of research is happening because we majorly read the secular kind of current affairs, which in general science we read. So.
Right. Great. Prince, one more question. What is the importance of mock interview for the interview preparation of EPFO examination?
Sir, I have been I have been attempting this. I attempted the first, in my case, mock interviews. I have one interview trainer, Mr. Harish, who is an ex-SBI general manager. So basically, he guides me throughout, like what kind of questions can be asked, and then he tells me the answers to them, which are of my particular, based on my particular biodata. And I also attended this EduTap mock interview, which was organized in October. So that also helped me a lot in at least, preparing the wide areas, from where the question can be asked.
So Prince, any future targets now?
The future target is civil services only right now.
So तब तक Prince रुकेंगे नहीं?
हाँ बिल्कुल sir, obviously.
बहुत बढ़िया. Prince, all the best for the UPSC examination. और मैं पूछना चाहूँगा कि आप एक last message हमारे aspirants को देना चाहें कोई?
Sir, I would say that when you are targeting any exam of UPSC, so perseverance is the key and consistency of efforts is the key.
Right.
And it's quite natural for a person with a very good academic record also to go through ups and downs during this preparation. So one should not feel demotivated. Like I have also seen ups and downs in my preparation. Like for example, in my 4th attempt, I did not clear the prelims of civil services itself. So, but like I did not stop there, and then I have been writing mains since the last 2 years, and I have this will be my 4th mains. So that is what I would like to say, that sometimes it's based on luck also, like especially in UPSC examination, luck also plays a major role, not a minor role. It plays a major role, especially in the interview. So one should believe in oneself, and one should consistently put in efforts, and someday you will be successful. There is no doubt in that.
Great, Prince, great. And आई फील वेरी लकी टू टॉक टू यू, क्योंकि काफी आपसे एक मोटिवेशन मिलती है और बहुत सारे अच्छे पॉइंट्स में पता लगे कि सिंस इट इज अ वेरी लॉन्ग प्रोसेस, इट इज अ वेरी लॉन्ग जर्नी, तो कंसिस्टेंसी विद परसेवरेंस इज द की टू द सक्सेस, एंड यू आर अ परफेक्ट एग्जांपल फॉर दैट. Thank you very much, Prince, for guiding us and letting us know some important points which we should keep in mind while doing our preparation. Thank you very much.